The convention hall will come to order. We are now holding the business session of the 89th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference. Madam Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they are at their stations, and report back to you, Madam President. The Sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there?
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the President in maintaining order.
The reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people in order that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The treasurer.
Stationed at the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there?
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements, just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standing through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duties there?
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why stationed by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than you, I am called to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripened with wisdom. Madam Vice President, why do you keep a plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Madam President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
I am pleased to announce at this, the business session of the 89th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference, there are over 4,600 members, advisors, and guests from 197 chapters present. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities and responsibilities, and develop those qualities of leadership which an FFA member should possess. May we accomplish our purposes. I now declare the business session of the 89th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference duly open for the transaction of business or attention to any matters which may properly be presented. Welcome to the 89th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference and the 2017 business session. As delegates, each and every one of you has an essential role in today's activities. Your contribution is vital to the success of the Iowa FFA Association. Today, we will hear the financial report, gather input from our 2017 state committees, conduct the official business of the Iowa FFA, and hear from the 2017 State Officer Nominating Committee, who will ballot your 2017-2018 Iowa FFA officers. As delegates, not only do you have the opportunity, but also the obligation to select the students who are committed, capable, and dedicated to living a life of service. The 9 people you select today will log thousands of hours in behind-the-scenes work, travel thousands of miles along Iowa's roadways, and manage their time and talents in order to best serve the more than 14,700 Iowa FFA members. Before we begin, there is one person that we must recognize. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our parliamentarian for the business session, Mr. Jack Cook. Before we are able to cast your vote of influence, we must secure an accurate count of delegates. The total number of votes must equal the total number of delegates. Please be patient as the coordinators get an accurate delegate count. Coordinators, please report to the secretary's desk once you are finished. When your chapter name is called, both delegates please rise to signify your attendance. Ackley, Algona, Armstrong, Belmont, Boone, Britt, Buffalo Center, Charles City, Clarion, Colo, Eagle Grove, Eldora, Forest City, Garner, Garwin, Gowrie, Grundy Center, Humboldt, Iowa Falls, Jewel, Lake Mills, Latimer, Nashua, Nevada, Northwood, Osage, Parkersburg, Riceville, Rockford, Sheffield, St. Ansgar, State Center, Story City, Webster City, West Bend, Alburnett, Anamosa, Arlington, Calmer, Cascade, Central City, Cresco, Decorah, Delhi, Edgewood, Elkader, Epworth, Fairbank, Guttenberg, Hudson, Independence, Jackson Junction, Jessup, Lansing, LaPorte City, Manchester, Marion, Monona, Monticello, New Hampton, Olwine, Postville, Rhinebeck, Sumner, Traer, Troy Mills, Van Horn, Vinton, Waukon, Waverly, West Union, Winthrop, Wyoming, Akron, Alta, Emmitsburg, Esterville, Everly, George, Grettinger, Hartley, Horton, Holstein, Whole Boyden Hole, Whole Western Christian, Ida Grove, Inwood, Kingsley, Lake City, Lake Park, Lakeview, Lawton, Lamar's, Manson, Mapleton, Marcus, Milford, Newell, Orange City, Holland, Orange City Unity Christian, Paulina, Pocahontas, Rock Rapids, Rock Valley, Sheldon, Sibley, Sioux Center, Sioux Rapids, Sloan, Spencer, Spirit Lake, Adele, Afton, Albia, Alleman, Baxter, Bussey, Centerville, Sheraton, Colfax, Corden, Creston, Des Moines, Earlham, Garden Grove, Grimes, Grinnell, Huxley, Indianola, Knoxville, Lamoni, LeGrand, Leon, Liberty Center, Maxwell, Melcher, Monroe, Moravia, Moulton, Mount Ayr, Murray, Newton, Osceola, Pella, Pleasant Hill, Pleasantville, Seymour, Stewart, Sully, Tama, Truro, Waukee, West Des Moines, Winterset, Woodward, Belle Plaine, Bellevue, Bloomfield, Clarence, Columbus Junction, DeWitt, Donaldson, Eddyville, Eldon, Eldridge, Fairfield, Fort Madison, Goose Lake, Kelowna, Keosauqua, Keota, Letts, Lone Tree, Maquoketa, Marengo, Mediapolis, Montezuma, Muscatine, New Sharon, North English, Oskaloosa, Packwood, Preston, Sigourney, Thornburg, Tipton, Victor, Wapello, Washington, Wellman, West Liberty, Wheatland, Williamsburg, Wilton, Winfield, Anita, Atlantic, Audubon, Avoca, Bedford, Carroll, Charter Oak, Clarinda, College Springs, Coon Rapids, Corning, Denison, Dunlap, Elkhorn, Glenwood, Glidden, Greenfield, Griswold, Guthrie Center, Harlan, Hastings, Jefferson, Lenox, Manning, Missouri Valley, Mondawmin, Neola, Oakland, Orient, Panora, Red Oak, Shenandoah, Tabor. Mr. Secretary, do you have an accurate count of the delegates?
Yes, I do, Madam President. There are 399 delegates from 200 chapters.
Thank you. The Courtesy Corps will now secure the delegate floor. If you must leave the delegate floor at any time, you must be escorted by a member of the Courtesy Corps and check in and out with the Secretary's desk. If you wish to speak during the business session, please stand to be recognized. When you receive recognition from the chair, an officer or coordinator will greet you with a microphone so you can be heard. Please state your chapter and your name so it may be recorded in the minutes. Once again, please state your chapter and your name so it may be recorded in the minutes. Then proceed with your discussion. At this time, I invite the Iowa FFA Secretary, Chase Kuzel, to the podium to present the minutes of the 88th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference.
What district?
The 2015-2016 Iowa FFA State Secretary, Kayla Keelberg, read the minutes of the 87th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference. Keelberg moved to accept the minutes as read. The motion passed by general consent. Treasurer's report. Mr. Scott Johnson, Iowa FFA Executive Secretary and Treasurer, presented the Iowa FFA Association Financial Report. Megan Panzengraw of the East Marshall FFA moved to accept the financial report. Noah Carlson of the Brokaw FFA chapter at Clarinda seconded the motion. The motion passed. Committee reports. Auditing Committee Chair Sam Johnson of the Akron-Westfield FFA chapter presented the committee report. Johnson moved to accept the report with an implied second. The motion passed. Program of Activities Committee Chair Holly Cook of the East Buchanan FFA chapter read the committee report. Cook moved to accept the report with an implied second. The motion passed. McKenna Brinning of the Washington FFA chapter moved to set the Iowa FFA Association member dues for 2016-2017 year at $7.50 per member. Weston Crace of the Winterset FFA chapter seconded the motion. The motion passed. Nominating Committee Chair Andrea Ross of the East Sac FFA chapter presented the nominating committee report. Ross presented the ballot for the 2016-2017 state officer candidates. Ross asked for nominations from the floor. 0 nominations were made. Ross moved to accept the nominating committee report with an implied second. The motion passed. Elections were held for president, secretary, and reporter. The delegates were then directed to their district breakout sections of Hilton Coliseum, where the elections of the state vice presidents were held. The election results were as follows. For the office of president, Alyssa Russ of the New Hampton FFA chapter was voted in over Michaela Dolch of the Southwest Valley FFA chapter. For office of secretary, Chase Kuzel of the Benton Community FFA Chapter at Van Horn was voted in over Alyssa Dean of the Griswold FFA Chapter. For the office of Reporter, Zach Hamilton of the Northeast FFA Chapter at Goose Lake was voted in over Libby Fisher of the Northland FFA Chapter. For the office of South Central Vice President, Zach Hoffman of the Creston FFA Chapter was voted in over Jenny Peterson of the Metro Dallas FFA Chapter. For the office of Northwest Vice President, Blake Lineweaver of the Okoboji FFA Chapter at Milford was voted in over Stacy Nims of the Sioux Central FFA Chapter at Sioux Rapids. For the office of Northeast Vice President, Cole Moody of the LaPorte Dizer FFA Chapter was voted in over Kaylee Cook of the North Fayette Valley FFA Chapter. For the office of Southwest Vice President, Zoe Shook of the ACGC FFA Chapter was voted in over Haley Carlson of the Atlantic FFA Chapter. For the office of Southeast Vice President, Savannah Keitzer of the Mediapolis FFA Chapter was voted in over Anna Brooks of the Muscatine FFA Chapter. For the office of North Central Vice President, Cooley Forsyth of the Charles City FFA Chapter was voted in over Victoria Butt of the Iowa Falls Alden FFA Chapter. This session adjourned at 12:09 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Kayla Kerberg, Iowa FFA Association, 2015-2016 State Secretary.
Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes of the previous convention stand approved as read.
Sorry, I missed your call.
In your packets, you received the financial report of the Iowa FFA Association. At this time, Mr. Scott Johnson, as Executive Secretary and Treasurer of the Iowa FFA Association, will present the financial report.
The previous event year has been an efficient one for the officers, members, chapters, and staff. Membership will be up relative to the previous year. That helps our revenue stream. Increased membership over the last 3 or 4 years helps the revenue stream in terms of chapter fees. And an attendance record at state convention last year obviously helps in terms of a revenue source as well. I'd like to thank Becky McCullough, Jana Fells, and staff in the Enrichment Center for working on our aging report and our outstanding balances. This has been an ongoing process for the last 2 or 3 years. And you'll notice on the first page at the very bottom where it shows outstanding balances as of March 31, 2017, that we currently have $0 owed to the Iowa FFA Association from invoices that are over 1 year old. We appreciate the FFA chapter's cooperation in helping us clean up some of our past records and have supported us in our bylaws changes to help make our invoicing and processing of collection of dues and fees more efficient. The following 3 pages after the front cover the program report and income statement reports. The backside of the first page is a listing of revenue and expenses by program. The last page, front and back, outlines by category of income or revenue code and expense code. You should be able to see the current year, the prior 12-month year, and compare it against the budget. Once again, relatively speaking, with attendance up at conferences and membership up, we are in a good shape, good position financially, and having cleaned up our past due accounts, the way we look at strategizing what we do with our account balances will probably change here moving forward to try to get the most out of what we have put away in our accounts. Once again, as a friendly reminder, there is a significant balance that we keep as a rainy day fund to help protect us should federal support dollars go away. And we have time there to develop a contingency to make up that gap in the budget should that ever occur. At this time, I'll entertain any questions that anyone might have.
I will now entertain a motion to accept the Iowa FFA Association financial report as presented.
Mercedes Nissen from Red Oak FFA Chapter, and Madam President, I move to accept the financial report.
Is there a second? The chair recognizes the delegate from the Northeast District.
Morgan Lauer from the North Fayette Valley FFA Chapter. I second the motion.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we accept the 2016-2017 Iowa FFA Association financial report as presented. Are there any questions or clarifications? Hearing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you. All opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. We will now hear from the Auditing Committee. These individuals spent this morning crunching numbers and making sure the Iowa FFA Association will remain financially sound for this coming year. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the names of the members of the Auditing Committee?
Would you please step forward as I read your name? Danica Tyndall of the Akron-Westfield FFA Chapter. Emily Soigling of the Atlantic FFA Chapter. Mason Flack of the Decorah FFA. Max Kunz of the Nottoway Valley FFA Chapter. Brianna Richboucher of the Tallcorn FFA Chapter. Brian Hahn of the Mediapolis FFA Chapter. Dalton Swenger of the OABCIG FFA Chapter. Aaron Franklin of the West Central Valley FFA Chapter. Rachel Halbach of the Webster City FFA Chapter. Alexis Costello of the Linn-Mar FFA Chapter. Aubrey Diskel of the Easton Valley FFA Chapter. And Joe Jordan from the Ballard FFA Chapter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. To give the report of the Auditing Committee, please welcome Committee Chair Danica Tyndall of the Akron-Westfield FFA Chapter.
We, the Auditing Committee, recommend the following changes to the Board of Directors. We recommend that the Board of Directors provide a more detailed explanation of what reimbursement and miscellaneous income is. We recommend more explanation from the association on where over budgeting comes from, and how they pay for what is under budget. An explanation is only needed when the fluctuation is at 30% or higher, either over or under. We recommend that the association put more budgeted expense towards the advertising, put more of the budgeted postage expense towards the advertising expenses. We recommend that the Board of Directors review the general material expenses and work to maintain a number that satisfies more closely with what budget intended to be spent, as it has been significantly over budget in the past 2 years. We recommend that the Board of Directors justify the auto expenses by keeping a good range near the budgeted amount instead of fluctuation. Since we see in the last year, we were way under our budget at $2,500, and this year being way over at $3,797.85. We recommend that the association add the budget amount for both the district revenue and district dues expense to maintain easier reading. We congratulate the association on maintaining good advertisement for both our members by being approximately $3,000 under the budget for that expense. We congratulate the association on keeping the outstanding balance at $0 for the past 1 year period since 2015. We congratulate the association for staying under budget on both the accounting and legal professional fees in the past year, as they were way over budget in the previous years. And we also congratulate the association for having a surplus in net income in the past year, since there was a deficit in the last year. I move to approve the Auditing Committee report.
Thank you. Since this is a committee report, it carries an implied second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you. All opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Danica? Thank you for your work and leadership. As a token of our appreciation, please accept this conference t-shirt. A program of activities is an essential part of the success of every chapter. Not only does it provide for direction from year to year, but it also defines chapter goals and purposes. Just as every chapter outlines a program of activities, the Iowa FFA Association has members from across the state define and outline activities of the Iowa FFA Association. Mr. Secretary, would you please read the names of the members of the Program of Activities Committee?
Would you please step forward as I read your name? Greta Schmidt from the Mid-Prairie FFA chapter. Callie Heinrich of the Akron Westfield FFA chapter. Alexis Bowes from Atlantic. Natalie Jeffson from Forest City. Erica Janes of the Wapsie Valley FFA chapter. Maggie Vogel of the ACGC FFA chapter. Christian Farnsworth from the Indianola. Brody Inksman of the Tallcorn FFA chapter. Curtis Krager of the OABCIG FFA chapter. John Crawl from West Branch. Danielle Andre from East Buchanan. And Anna Russell from the Ballard FFA chapter.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. To give the report of the Program Activities Committee, please welcome Committee Chairperson Greta Schmidt from the Mid-Prairie FFA chapter.
Our committee appreciates the increased opportunities for middle schoolers from the last year's recommendations. Our committee recommends that COLT be more focused towards specific officer training as well as the transition between new POA committees. Our committee recommends to keep the variety of CDEs available. Along with this, we would like to see better materials to train not only the members but the judges for the CDEs. We recommend that 212 and 360 be focused towards chapter promotion on a local level. Finally, we recommend that the state FFA promotes a service day across the state and more statewide bonding and promotion activities in the fall. Madam President, I move to accept this committee report as read.
Thank you. Since it's a committee report, it carries an implied second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I do know Brittany Woods.
Thank you. All opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Greta. Thank you for committing time and effort as the leader of the committee. As a token of our appreciation, I present you with this conference t-shirt. Please thank the members who have been instrumental in the business of the Iowa FFA Association through their service on a committee one more time. At this time, we will now move to new business. Please direct your attention to the screen. The Board of Directors of the Iowa FFA Association voted to recommend amending Article 5, Active Membership Degrees and Privileges, Section E, Line 1C of the Iowa FFA Constitution by scratching out $1,000 and inserting $1,500, and by scratching out $300 and inserting $375, so the line reads as follows. A student after entering agricultural education must have 1, earned and productively invested at least $1,500, or 2, worked at least 300 or 375 hours in excess of scheduled class time, or 3, a combination thereof in a supervised agricultural experience program. We will give you 2 minutes to review the amendment either on the screen or on the handout that was on your seat when you arrived to the delegate floor. This motion is debatable and requires a 2/3 majority vote. This is not amendable, as any amendment must be submitted by district convention to the Board of Directors according to our Constitution. Since this is a recommendation of the board, it carries an implied second. Before we open up for discussion, I will clarify once again. This amendment would increase the requirements for the Iowa FFA degree from $1,000 to $1,500 invested and from 300 hours to 375 hours worked. It would be effective for the 2018 application year. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. As we need a 2/3 majority vote, we must get an accurate count. All those in favor, please signify by standing and staying standing until our staff have counted you. Thank you. All opposed, please stand.
I don't. I don't really count it as oversight. I don't know. Okay, I'm right here. No. Okay, so what ended up happening is that the row of South Central was got double counted. Do we even make this? Suite 32, 64, we're in the 64. So when you go back to the adult thinking, practice. Okay, now double again. 7, 11, like now that's finally getting nice. Oh man, it's like 60. Oh yeah. Okay, that's magical. Just take it. But there you go. Well, that's right. Yeah. 500 anyway.
Thank you. Vote passes. Moving on, I will now entertain a motion to set state dues at $7.50 again for the 2017-2018 school year. The chair recognizes delegate from the Southeast District.
Montana Krogman, Northeast Goose Lake. Madam President, I move to set dues at $7.50 for the 2017-2018 school year.
Is there a second? The chair recognizes a delegate from the Southwest District.
Joe Kinkle from Avoca, and I second that.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of setting dues at $7.50 for the 2017-2018 school year, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, please say nay. Motion carries.
Okay, I'll get that one.
For 12 FFA members, last week was filled with interviews, essays, analyzing applications, calculating results, and making decisions. The members of the 2017 Iowa FFA Nominating Committee chose to spend 3 days prior to state convention choosing the 18 candidates who are most able to serve the Iowa FFA. Please welcome 12 incredibly influential Iowa FFA members, the 2017 State Nominating Committee. Will you please step forward when your name is called? Caleb Bartling from the AGWSR FFA chapter. Stephanie Naranjo from Belmont Clemmy. Ekta Nanda from Linn-Mar. Sydney Stender from Midland FFA. Brendan Croce of Akron Westfield. Will Rupnow from East Sac. Sheridan Thompson from Southeast Polk. Haley Hunt of the West Central Valley FFA chapter. Chase Anderson from Oskaloosa. Alyssa McMichael of West Liberty. Aaron Johansson of Harlan. And Caitlin Schultz from Coon Rapids Bear. I will now call Caleb Bartling, chair of the 2017 Iowa FFA Nominating Committee, to the podium to read the Iowa FFA State Officer Candidate Ballot.
The 2017 Iowa FFA Nominating Committee met on April 4th through 6th to conduct interviews of the state officer candidates. After 3 days of extensive interviews, the committee presents the following ballot for the election of the 2017-2018 Iowa FFA officer team. For the office of Northwest Vice President, Carly Groff from the Newell Fonda FFA chapter, and Grace Renz from the West Lyon FFA chapter at Inwood. For the office of South Central Vice President, Cassie Bond from the Earlham FFA chapter, and Amy Ewing from the Wayne FFA chapter at Corydon. For the office of North Central Vice President, Allie Babcock from the Gilbert FFA chapter. For the office of Southeast Vice President, Chase Brinegar from the Agri-Power FFA chapter at Eddyville, and Rebecca France from the Mid-Prairie FFA chapter at Wellman. For the office of Southwest Vice President, Caleb Finnegan from the ACGC FFA chapter at Guthrie Center, and Ashlyn Lingle from the IKM Manning FFA chapter at Manning. For the office of Northeast Vice President, Jake Loss from the North Tama FFA chapter at Traer, and Rachel Zumba from the Northland FFA chapter at Troy Mills. For the office of Reporter, Marta Grant from the Easton Valley FFA chapter at Preston, and Annie Wallen from the Brokaw FFA chapter at Clarinda. For the office of Secretary, Spencer Arnold from the Lone Tree FFA chapter, and Peyton Schmidt from the Lone Tree FFA chapter. For the office of President, Zachary Hamilton from the Northeast FFA chapter at Goose Lake, and Savannah Keitzer from the Mediapolis FFA chapter. President, through 6th... Oh, wait. Madam President, I move to accept the nominating committee report as read.
Since this is a committee report, there is an implied second. I will now call for nominations from the floor. Only those individuals who have submitted an application and completed the interview process are eligible to be nominated. I remind you that the members of the 2017 State Nominating Committee have spent many in-depth hours interviewing, analyzing, and balloting the most qualified candidates to serve on the 2017-2018 Iowa FFA State Officer team. Please respect their work. With that, I will call for nominations for all offices. Are there any nominations for any office? Nominations, nominations, nominations cease. We will now proceed to vote on the nominating committee report. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you. All opposed, say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. Caleb. Thank you for all of your efforts and the time that you and the committee have given to the selection of this year's state officer candidate ballot. Please accept this conference t-shirt as a token of our appreciation. From this point forward, it is vital that each delegate follows the instructions given in order for the election process to be completed in an efficient manner as possible. At this time, Brandon Hansen will escort all balloted officer candidates to the holding area. We will now have the election of the 2017-2018 Iowa FFA State Officer Team. We will first vote on the offices of President, Secretary, and Reporter. Each of the candidates will be given 2 minutes to speak and then ask questions. To maintain fairness, the same individuals must ask each candidate the same questions. The individuals who will be asking the questions to the at-large state officer candidates have already been selected. One reminder, there will be no applause after candidates have given their speech or answered questions. Will those delegates selected to ask questions of the candidates please go to the Secretary's desk at this time? Will the first candidate for president please be escorted to the stage? The first candidate for the office of president is Savannah Keitzer from the Minneapolis FFA chapter. Savannah, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
To get here today, we all came from different directions, and we all have our own individual stories of why we are here. But we all have one thing in common. To get here today, we all took a road trip. Whether that road trip was across town or across the state, we all took a road trip. There seems to be a series of people on every single road trip that we go on. There's always that person that says one word that's highly competitive and should not be taken lightly. Shotgun. There's always that person that can kill it with the aux cord. There's always a person who tells that one story that we wish they wouldn't. There's always a person who says, "Are we there yet?" over and over. And lastly, there is always someone who wishes they were driving because they don't have faith in the rest of us. But no matter where we go or who we're with, it's the people that we surround ourselves with and the people that we meet along the way that shape our experience into something great. FFA members, this past year, I had the opportunity to travel thousands of miles across this great state and meet many influential people. I had the opportunity to put hundreds of miles on my car and meet caring agriculture advisors and passionate students who are working to grow their communities, grow leaders, and strengthen the agriculture industry. I don't want my journey or my road trip to end, so please select me as your Iowa FFA State President.
Please, no applause.
No.
Thank you. Please escort the first candidate back to the holding area. The second candidate for the office of president is Zachary Hamilton of the Northeast FFA chapter at Goose Lake. Zach, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
How many of us have seen one of my favorite movies of all time, Finding Nemo? For those of us who aren't familiar, the movie starts out with a young clownfish getting challenged by his friends to go up and touch the butt of a boat. Unfortunately, this doesn't end up very well for him, as he is captured by some fishermen and taken all the way across the ocean to Sydney, Australia. Now, his dad, Marlin, is freaking out, and so he sets off on a journey to save his son. Now, journeying across the ocean is not the easiest task, so he needed some help. And that is where Dory comes in. For those of us who aren't familiar, Dory is a spunky, wacky, fun character who doesn't have much of a memory, but all the while is supporting Marlin the entire way. Whether it was facing sharks, jellyfish, or coasting along with some rad turtles, these two made it all the way across the ocean to save Nemo. Now, we all have mentors in our lives. While it may not be a fish, we all have people in our lives who help us to achieve our goals. It may be your basketball coach, your speech teacher, or even your FFA advisor. For me, the people who have inspired me and mentored me along my path are the people in front of me. You, the FFA members who I have had the opportunity to meet this past year, have inspired me to continue to do what I do. Now, there's a second movie called Finding Dory, where Marlin has the opportunity to support Dory along her path. In that same fashion, I want to continue supporting all of you and helping you achieve your goals this year. So vote me, Zach Hamilton, as your 2017-2018 Iowa FFA president, and we can just keep swimming and achieve our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the first candidate please be escorted back to the stage? We will now have 4 questions for the president candidates asked by our nominating committee chair. A question will be asked to a specific candidate. The candidate will answer the question. When complete, the second candidate will answer the question. You will have 1 minute to answer each question.
The first question is for Savannah. What moment determined your desire to run for state president?
I desire to run for state president because this is an organization that I am very passionate about. This past year, I have been able to travel the state and see many members living out their passions, and it's something that gets me excited. It's something that I become passionate about, and I've become so passionate about it that I've continued my career as an agriculture educator.
Zach, what moment determined your desire to run for state president?
There are many moments along my time serving as the state reporter this year that have made me want to continue to serve this association. One of the best moments that I've ever had, which actually happened a couple times throughout the year, was when I got to visit the chapters of the Iowa FFA. Getting to travel along in my Camry and see all of you this past year, whether it was making balloon towers, making pudding and eating it, or whatever it may be, all of you have shown me what it means to be an FFA member and what it means to serve. So those are the moments that have made me want to run for state president, getting to interact with all of you and see your dreams and goals.
Zach, the second question will start with you. How do you fit the definition of leadership?
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
How do you fit the definition of leadership?
Thank you. For my definition of leadership, it is making those around you better. Most of us think that leadership is about being the person in charge or having that title. However, for me, I think it's about making those that you are leading into better people. One way that I fit into that definition is when I used to work at Subway. Now, all of you guys know what it's like when you walk into Subway and you grab your sandwich and the people there are just totally chill. Well, it's not always that way. So when we would be in the back, there would be so many times where my coworkers and I were stressed to the max. However, through my leadership and being able to help them to calm down and say, okay, yeah, I know the onions are kind of icky, but it will be totally chill. We'll power through it. We were able to come together as a team and be able to serve better as a team. And that is how I fit into my definition of leadership, is being able to help those around me.
Savannah, how do you fit the definition of leadership?
I'd have to say that there are many definitions of leadership. We can all be a leader. No matter where you serve, you can be a leader. I have one specific example of how I fit my definition of leadership. To me, it is influencing those people around you, but I think that the people around you have a very big influence on who you become. This past year, I had the opportunity to travel to Oskaloosa High School and interact with a kid by the name of Chase Anderson. This individual changed my life, but claims that I changed him. He is now involved in many different experiences, including state nom-com, being part of the Ag Leaders Dinner and different things, and he truly inspires me each and every day when he didn't even think that he could be a leader because he was just a member. But you can be a leader wherever you are.
Savannah, the third question will start with you. Tell us about a time you had a conflict within a team and how you resolved it.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes. Tell us about a time you had a conflict within a team and how you resolved it.
Throughout this past year, we had many conflicts with our team, but I think we're all very mature and we were able to handle them very well. But this past year, I had an individual experience with a member who maybe wasn't doing exactly what they were supposed to. And for me, it was really hard. I lacked the confidence to go up to that member and tell them what they were doing was wrong. But I know that our organization needs to be represented in a way that we can all be proud of. So I went up to that member and I asked them to stop doing what they were doing. And I feel like that is a time when I had a conflict within a team, and that's how I solved it.
Zach, tell us about a time you had a conflict within a team and how you resolved it.
So we all know that within our friend groups, not everything is always sunshine and rainbows. So this past year, I had the opportunity not only to serve on a team with our state secretary, but I also got the experience to live with him at college. Now, this came with its perks and also its downfalls. So one time, we were working on the Iowa FFA today. If you all haven't seen it yet, it's a publication that we send out that's a video of Chase and I talking about what we're doing in FFA. Now, it takes a lot of work to get that video together, and so we had kind of been bickering about who was doing what work and what was getting done, and the way that we solved it was that we sat down and we both realized that we were both passionate about it and we wanted it to go well. So rather than bickering about it, we came to a solution of how we can do it better. And so that is one way that I helped to solve a conflict within our team this year.
Zach, the last question will start with you. If elected, how will you use this position to promote and improve the Iowa FFA?
Could you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
If elected, how will you use this position to promote and improve the Iowa FFA?
I think there's always a lot of opportunity for growth, whatever organization it may be, but especially within the Iowa FFA Association. And one way that I really want to help to grow this organization is to continue meeting with and interacting with all of the members within our association. There are so many of you who are out there right now, and a lot of times we don't get to see all of you. And so my goal is for this year, if I were elected to state president, is to continue to show the new team and also have other people go around and meet with every single one of you to the best of our ability and have as much interaction with all of you, find your goal, find your dream, and help you all to achieve that. So that is one thing that I would work to do if I were elected as state president this year. Thank you.
Savannah, if elected, how will you use this position to promote and improve the Iowa FFA?
One way that I would use this position to promote the Iowa FFA is by improving programs and starting more chapters. One thing I became super passionate about this year is starting programs in some of our bigger school districts in urban areas. I'm actually super passionate to be talking right now because there's an individual sitting in the crowd from Iowa City School District who may be looking to potentially add a program. And I think that is super awesome, and I'm super excited to go forward with that.
Thank you. Please escort the president candidates back to the holding room. We will now vote on the office of president. Nominating committee members and staff will distribute ballots for the office of president. As a reminder, the candidates were Savannah Keitzer of the Mediapolis FFA chapter and Zachary Hamilton of the Northeast FFA chapter at Goose Lake. Please be respectful while voting by not discussing with other delegates. Please cast your vote at this time. When the votes are casted, will the district representatives please collect the ballots? Will the first candidate for secretary please be escorted to the stage? The first candidate for the office of secretary is Spencer Arnold from the Lone Tree FFA chapter. Spencer, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Iowa FFA, I have something very important to get off my chest. I thought I had found my one and only true love. Sweet, creamy, delicious ice cream. Seriously, I could eat it with every meal, and some people might say ice cream and I are the perfect match. Inseparable, you can't find one without the other. Just like the time I took my first bite of ice cream, the first time I zipped up this blue corduroy jacket, I was in love. In love because of the relationships I started to build. These relationships through FFA are not generic and stronger than any I've ever made before. These are the people I can count on. These are the people I can stay up with till 3 a.m. in Skype. These are the people I cannot see for 6 months and pick up a conversation exactly where we left off. These are the people I can spend hours upon days with and still love. These people are not just my friends, but my FFA family. My love and passion for this organization fuels my authentic leadership, optimism, enthusiasm, and dedication to make us, Iowa FFA, the best we can be. The only way to be the best you can be is to find what you love. And if you haven't found that yet, keep looking. Don't settle. If I hadn't found what I loved, I wouldn't be standing in front of all you here today. So let me help you find your first bite of ice cream and what you love about this organization by allowing me, Spencer Arnold, to serve as your 2017-2018 Iowa FFA Secretary.
Reminder of no applause, please. Thank you. Please escort the first candidate back to the holding area. The second candidate for the office of secretary is Peyton Schmidt from the Lone Tree FFA chapter. Peyton, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Did all of you brush your teeth this morning? I hope. Well, so did I. And every time I brush my pearly whites, I'm reminded of my first time at National Convention. National Advisor Steve Brown came onto the stage carrying a flattened tube of toothpaste. I thought this guy was crazy. Why did he have a tube of toothpaste? He told us that as he was getting ready that morning, he had run out. He said, I had to keep squeezing and squeezing the tube to get every last bit out. He used this to explain that us as FFA members should keep working and striving to get every last bit out of our FFA experiences. At first, I thought to myself, what a cheesy story. He probably didn't even run out of toothpaste this morning. But I soon realized the truth in this lesson. This blue jacket provides us with so many chances to do amazing things, go amazing places, and meet amazing people if we simply take advantage of them. After hearing him speak, I dedicated myself to this incredible organization. In FFA, I found the place I belonged and people who shared my passion for agriculture, service, and leadership. Through all of this, I learned more lessons than I thought imaginable and learned more about myself than I ever would have known. My dedication and desire to help each of you make the most out of your time in FFA is what brought me here today.
As FFA members, when we are given this blue jacket, we have a full tube of toothpaste in our hands and countless opportunities in front of us. Elect me, Peyton Schmidt, as your 2017-2018 Iowa FFA State Secretary, and together we can squeeze every last bit out of our time in FFA. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the first candidate please be escorted back to the stage? We will now have 2 questions for the secretary candidates. A question will be asked to a specific candidate. The candidate will answer the question. When complete, the second candidate will answer the question. You will have 1 minute to answer each question.
Spencer, what moment determined your desire to run for state office?
I think this is on. Okay, good. Looking back through my FFA career, the moment that really determined when I decided to run for state office was the October of my sophomore year. This was when FFA really hit me. It really hit me hard, and it hit me well. I got into my ag classroom one day, and I was like, Mrs. Mahoney, I was like, what can I do to help and give back to the FFA? And she's like, you know, there are definitely leadership roles you can take. And I was like, good idea. Why didn't I think about that? So I think the biggest thing was that sophomore year of FFA, I was like, yo, this is what I like, this is what I love, and I want to help other people like that and love that and find their passion through FFA.
Peyton, what moment determined your desire to run for state office?
So freshman year, I participated in the Creed Speaking CDE, and I won first at sub-districts and was really excited to go to districts. And while I got a gold, I didn't end up advancing to state, which was really disappointing and kind of discouraging to me. But I had the opportunity to go to state convention anyway and participated in the Green Hand quiz. So the first day of convention, I had kind of been sitting in the audience and looking at the people on stage and thought, wow, I'm never going to get up there. I'm never going to win an award or be able to be a state officer because I'm just an ordinary kid from Lone Tree, Iowa. What am I ever going to be able to accomplish like that? The next day, I took the Green Hand quiz and ended up making the top 10 and was standing right up here on this very stage. And that was the moment when I realized that any of us, when wearing this blue jacket, have the power to do amazing things if we have the right type of encouragement. So I realized that I wanted to serve as a state officer so I could provide that type of encouragement to each one of you.
Peyton, the second question will start with you. How do you fit the definition of leadership?
So personally, when I think of a leader, I think of someone who is respected, who isn't afraid to work alongside of the people that they are leading, and who truly has the best interests of the organization that they're involved with in mind. I think that as a person, I really work hard to make sure that everyone is motivated to do their best, whether it's in a chapter meeting or at something like state convention. I think that I try to be as helpful as possible to others at all times, and I try to set an example by working alongside all of the members. So I think really being a servant leader encompasses who I am.
Spencer, how do you fit the definition of leadership?
Well, let me just tell you guys, my definition of leadership may not be what everybody else's is. I think a leader is someone who is a catalyst in another member's life or another person's life by following in their footsteps to help them form who they want to be. As a leader, I want everybody else to grow. I want we to grow as a whole. And a big thing is making sure I'm following in your footsteps. I know a lot of people are like, well, you're a leader, you need to lead, you need to be the head of them. And I was like, no, that's not how it goes. I think the biggest thing is just knowing that we're all our own individuals, we're all our own person. And if I can't help you become who you want to be with what you have and your skills and characteristics, you need to be your own person. So by being a leader, I can help guide you guys into your direction that you want to be, not necessarily what I think you should be.
Thank you. Please escort the candidates back to the holding area. We will now vote on the office of secretary. Nominating committee members and staff, please distribute ballots for the office of secretary. As a reminder, the candidates were Spencer Arnold from the Lone Tree FFA chapter, and Peyton Schmidt from the Lone Tree FFA chapter. Once again, please be respectful while voting by not conferring with other delegates. Please cast your ballot at this time. Will the first candidate for reporter please be escorted to the stage? The first candidate for the office of reporter is Marta Grant from the Easton Valley FFA chapter at Preston. Marta, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
I joined the FFA during my freshman year of high school, and like so many others, I didn't know what I had gotten myself into. After a few chapter meetings, I quickly learned what it means to wear the blue corduroy jacket. I fell in love with this organization and the countless traditions and opportunities that it offers. Through FFA, I have met some amazing people, and I have traveled hundreds of miles learning about agriculture. During my freshman year of high school, I was able to attend the National FFA Convention and Expo, and that is where I learned how big FFA really is. FFA members, nothing compares to that feeling you get when you see the sea of blue jackets in downtown Indianapolis. I get filled with an immense sense of pride and joy in knowing that I am a part of this amazing organization. And that's why I want to serve you, Iowa FFA. I want to help you find your place in this organization. FFA members, I know that there is a reason for you being here today, and that reason is because of your passion for the blue and gold. If you are like me, you have spent countless hours working with livestock, preparing for contests, and just hanging out in the ag room. You understand that to live and work on a good farm or to be engaged in other agricultural pursuits is pleasant as well as challenging. You know hard work when you see it, and you know what it means to plow deep and straight and not cut corners. FFA members, I want to help you to achieve the premier leadership, personal growth, and career success that this organization has to offer. So vote for me, Marta Grant, as your 2017-2018 Iowa FFA State Reporter. Thank you.
Thank you. Please escort the first candidate back to the holding area. The second candidate for the office of reporter is Annie Wallen from the Brokaw FFA chapter at Clarinda. Annie, you will have 2 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Wearing blue while striving for gold. The first time I would zip up my corduroy, I didn't know how much this one simple jacket would affect my life. Hi, my name is Annie Wallen, and I'm running to be the state reporter. I grew up on a small family farm outside of Newmarket, where I helped my dad with his horse training business, which I then used as my SAE. You see, every time I put on this jacket, I was going on an adventure. The first jacket I received was freshman year. I was nervous but excited to uphold the traditions that were set by my fellow peers and by the Iowa FFA Association. I was either attending CDEs, attending national or state competitions, and that being able to make amazing memories throughout the year. Thanks to attending these events, I've learned so many life skills. I learned how to become a better speaker, how to become a better leader, listen to others for new ideas, and of course, like I said, making amazing memories. FFA has really opened my eyes to all the possibilities that are out there. And all I have to do is zip up my jacket and be able to make that jump. So I'd like to ask you to please help me to be able to continue to zip up my jacket and not only learn new things about myself, but new things about you. Help me inspire others as so many inspired me, and give me the chance to help others wear blue while striving for gold.
Thank you. Please escort the first candidate back to the stage. We will now have 2 questions for the reporter candidates. A question will be asked to a specific candidate. The candidate will answer the question. When complete, the second candidate will answer that question. You will have 1 minute to answer each question.
Marta, the first question will start with you. What moment determined your desire to run for state office?
The moment that sparked my desire to run for state office just occurred this past year when I was working in my FFA chapter with some freshman students. And a particular student, we kind of encouraged her to become the junior officer because she was not wanting to be the junior officer at all. So I kind of begged her to join. And then as soon as she joined, she became a really active member of our FFA chapter. And even this year, she decided that she was going to try and run for chapter president. And so the thing that made me want to run for state office was seeing that I had an influence on this young lady for her to run for a chapter office, and that seeing her grow within our FFA chapter. And so if I can help other members find their place in this organization, I think that I am doing a good job.
Annie, what moment determined your desire to run for state office?
The moment that I really wanted to run for state office was after the ending of my district year as a Celtis officer. I realized how much FFA has impacted me and how much I loved it. All I could think about is how I wanted to be out there still and keep going and keep showing the world what FFA is, to really show them that we're not cows, sows, and plows, that we're so much more, and all the incredible things we are doing. I also knew that this is going to help me so much in my future, and I really love this organization, and that's what really motivated me.
Annie, the second question will start with you. How do you fit the definition of leadership?
To me, a definition of leadership is somebody that motivates you. My definition of leadership is my ag advisor. No matter what we are doing, he's always out there going, let's go, you can do this, let's practice. So to me, a leader is somebody that's always out there motivating you. I'm kind of known for always talking, and that's one of my favorite things to do, is being out there and saying, you guys can do this, I know you can, you're incredible, let's go do it. So to me, that is what a leader is.
Marta, how do you fit the definition of leadership?
My definition of leadership is someone that makes everyone around them better. I feel that throughout serving as my chapter president, I have worked hard to include younger FFA members in our chapter. And I wouldn't like to say that I am a leader, but I hope that I have made a difference in the lives of students in my school and in my chapter through various activities other than FFA, with helping them being involved in speech, thespians, and in sports. I feel that just by encouraging them and having a positive relationship with the students in my school, that I have hopefully made an impact in their lives, and that I have helped them to become a better person and a better leader in the school themselves.
Thank you. Please escort the candidates back to the holding area. We will now vote on the office of reporter. Nominating committee members and staff, please distribute ballots for the office of reporter. As a reminder, the candidates were Marta Grant of the Easton Valley FFA chapter at Preston and Annie Wallen from the Brokaw FFA chapter at Clarinda. Please be respectful while voting by not conferring with other delegates. Please cast your ballot at this time.
The Secretary's desk has an announcement at this time. Following the election of reporters, the delegates will be breaking out into their districts for the state vice president elections. If you are sitting in the stadium seating above the floor in the following sections, please take note and move to a different section. The following sections will be used for state vice president elections and must be cleared: 139, 105, 132, 112, 134, and 110. One more time, the 6 sections that must be cleared are 139, 105, 132, 112, 134, and 110. Thank you.
Could Mary Lindsay and Maisie Lindsay please come to the secretary's desk to check in for FFA talent? Thank you.
Just a reminder, following the election of state reporter, state vice president elections will occur, and the delegates will be breaking out into districts in sections above the floor. If you are seated in the following sections, please relocate to a different section as your section will be used for state vice president elections. 139, 105, 132, 112, 134, and 110. Again, 139, 105, 132, 112, 134, and 110. Thank you.
We will now vote on the offices of State Vice President. Once everyone has arrived at the breakout area, the candidates will be allowed 2 minutes to present a speech. Following the speeches, the nominating committee members will proceed to ask 2 questions. Questioning will alternate first responses among candidates. As the vice presidents represent their respective districts, only delegates from those districts will vote on their vice president. To achieve this, we will separate the delegate body, sending each district to a different area to hear the speeches of their candidate. The same rules apply to the election of the vice presidents as the reporter and secretary. 2 minutes to speak and 1 minute to answer each question. A nominating committee member from the respective district will be responsible for asking the questions. They will also ask the same questions for each candidate. When you have finished casting your ballots, we ask that you remain where you are until the results of your districts have been confirmed. At this time, members of the Courtesy Corps will escort you back to the delegate section so we can conclude this session. As I dismiss you, the Courtesy Corps member from the respective district will escort their delegate body to their respective area. At this time, Northwest delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 139. At this time, the Northeast delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 105. At this time, the Southwest delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 132. At this time, the Southeast delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 112. At this time, the North Central district delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 134. Lastly, the South Central delegates are dismissed. Please follow your coordinators to section 110. Mr. Secretary, have all the ballots been counted?
Yes, Madam President, there are no revotes.
Congratulations, you have selected the 2017-2018 Iowa FFA State Officer Team. The results of the elections will be announced in the 4th General Session. We hope that you stay and see the collective result of your individual vote. On behalf of the Iowa FFA Association, we cannot thank you enough for your time and effort spent here today. Our Constitution states that state delegates are required to meet at least once a year to set dues and conduct other association business. This is a vital piece of our annual State Leadership Conference. Mr. Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
I have none, Madam President.
Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this business session? We are about to adjourn the delegate business session of the 89th Iowa FFA Leadership Conference. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now declare this session adjourned.
The Secretary's desk has an announcement at this time. If you are in one of the following sections, please clear them so that we can have reserved seating for the next session. Again, if you're in one of the following sections, please find another place to sit. Sections 134, 133, 132, and 111. Again, please clear sections 134, 133, 132, and 111. Thank you.